you guys the next image too when it comes to tilt shift. That'll help a lot with this as well. Cropping is when you take an image and you pull it into something a little bit more. Sometimes when you take pictures too far away from your subject matter, it kind of blurs it out, makes it much less interesting. You don't really get a sense for the focus. Push it in here. So this image originally was the image, and then I pushed it in farther because you probably didn't want to see the rest of this. It doesn't really make you focus anymore. It makes you look at everything else around it. It's distracting. So when you push it in and leave some of these parts here, you still get a sense of the scene, and you get that depth, but it's much more focused. It brings you to the main point, just like framing does in the same sense. So, which brings me to tilt shift. Tilt shift is a way of focusing in on the center. You can have a line tilt shift, a radial tilt shift, or a cross tilt shift. This is a radial one. You can see here how it's rounded here, and this is perfectly focused, but this blurred edge right here starts coming in. This is a way to focus in on the center of the main point. So originally the image was mostly in focus, as you can see here, but I went ahead and tilt shifted it, which blurs it out and makes you focus on one aspect of the focal matter. So you look at this one thing, which is the 9 for my birthday candle. Additionally, up here, this would be a line focal, or a line tilt shift. You can't see it as well, but you can see down here how it's blurred out. And then up here, it's perfectly in focus. I imagine that that's not how the image originally was. This one isn't mine, but I thought it was a good example. I imagine that the rest was also, but it really makes you focus in on the bridge specifically.
So is that an option you're saying on the phones, or is that just something that you do?
On iPhones and in some applications you can. You can get a tilt shift application that'll do it. The iPhone has it not built in, but Instagram does, so the apps will do this. You can use your autofocus, which will bring the center subject into focus specifically and blur out the rest. The tilt shift is a little bit different because you control where the focus is. So this is an application based a little bit more. So.
How did you take it?
How did I take it? I did this one in Instagram. So I took this picture originally with my iPhone, so this is the standard picture, brought it into Instagram, used a radial tilt shift, and then cropped it in. So it really changes the image a lot after you go through the entire process.
Excuse me, the process that you described, was that actually in taking the photo, or was that post-processing?
Post-processing.
Okay.
So this is the original image, and this is the post-process.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, no problem. So, like I said earlier, this is post-process as well, and filters is one of the up-and-coming things that are really taking over just the photography. I don't want to say market, but mobile photography is becoming really based around filters and how they're used and how they convey different feelings. So up here is the original image that we see, and then these are all various types of filters that you can use. And these are some of the options from Instagram, just to give you an idea of the different color casts, the different ways that they work. So you can see here that this feeling is a lot different than this one. So, and then through these images, you also get the same thing. And then on the next slide, I actually found this out. It was really interesting. So I'll just push next. Filters are actually based. I didn't know this because I assumed that somebody had, just made up an algorithm to do a filter. But what they actually do is they take the original cameras that they would have used early with film and the types of films. So you have your Lomos, your Holgas, your Polaroids, and then they actually use the film color casts, and then they actually meld them together to make the filters. So the filters that you're using actually are based on cameras and film, which I thought was really interesting because I assumed that they weren't, because a lot of people just do color cast now, and then you can put a vignette on it and make it your own. But these are actually based on real combinations of real cameras and real film. So I thought that was really fascinating. So there's a couple ones that are used in Instagram. So you can see it's the Lomo LCA, and then the Velvio, which is a blue cast tone kind of film that you can use, and it comes out and they just rename it something else. That's a combination of the two. Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay. So this is the little bit more in-depth part. So applications, like I said earlier, the question about post-production, this is the part where you take your images and you can transform them essentially. You can completely change an image by using different applications, different filters. The tilt shift obviously can completely change a film. The border can change everything. So I went ahead and did different iPhone and Android ones because those are the two largest phones on the market right now, especially in mobile photography. I didn't do the Google phone because I don't know many people that have it, so sorry if you're I'm sure they come out with great apps for it. So I'm going to start with the iPhone. I went through various applications and tried most of them out, and I did my top 3 in combination with a little bit of research to see what the market was wanting to push out as well. Camera Plus is a great app that I've used multiple times now since trying it out. This is what it looks like. It's 99 cents. It gets great reviews, and basically what you do is you'll take your original image, like I showed you guys earlier with the cupcake picture. You have your original image, and then you pull it into the application, and then it gives you tons of different settings you can do. So you can see down here, there are scenes that you can use, which would be, you can brighten and like really enhance the picture to make it easier to use. You can do adjustments, which would be kind of like the filters, so you can bring them in, give them a different filter feel. So you can see that this is the red scale option, here's the black and white option, purple haze. You can do special techniques in it, like put words and things on the images, which I think is a lot of fun. And you can also crop and do regular editing. So those are a lot of really useful tools that you can cover in one. It also comes with this great stabilizer feature. I know a lot of times when I'm taking a photo with one hand, it's really difficult to stabilize as well because you're not using the two, which is a lot easier. The stabilizer will actually function to kind of reduce some of the noise from your hands moving. So it'll focus and hold, which I think is a great function. And it has a timer. I never saw an iPhone app with a timer. So that was really cool. You can set it up, go ahead, jump in the picture with your friends, so that's always really awesome. In addition, I know I said earlier that this is a post-production type of app, but you can also do live view, which you can take the picture using some of the options that you want. So you can focus in, use the filter that you might want to use because maybe you like that filter, and then see how it works with your image. And this is like really the time where you can see how your image is going to turn out by testing different positions, checking your lighting, using rule of thirds, and it'll really enhance the image that you put out. And one of the best things about mobile photography is that you can try as many times as you want because you can just wait until you get it right, which is the best part. Iris Photo Suite, a little bit more expensive on the app side, $2 is pushing it. I usually do the 99 cents versions or the light versions to test it out. But I tried this one. This has a lot of really advanced techniques that you can use. So as you can see over here, it has all these bars that you can test different things. I would say I think it's pretty advanced. It took me a little while to get used to because I'm more used to this type of function over here. But it's really good because it gives you a lot of control. So when you're taking your image, you can pull it in, hold the saturation, make it darker, use contrast, make up for some of the things that you might not have been able to control when you were taking the image, like the lighting. So if it's too bright one day and your image is a little bit washed out, you can go ahead and push the contrast in. So that's a lot of good things. The blend mode, you can actually take 2 pictures and meld them together, which is kind of fun. As you can see here, you can see that there's people in the background and then there's an image in the foreground. These are some of the same types of modes that they use in the Photoshop, the real version, the Adobe one on the computer. So you can kind of use those and mix them together and mix and match different things. A lot of times, I'll show you guys later, some of the mobile artists use a lot of this function to kind of get their images going, so I'll show you that a little bit later in remind for this. So those are 2 iPhone apps. Instagram, I already mentioned it a couple times. Instagram is personally my favorite, only because in addition to it having really simple features, it also has the biggest amount of people that use it. It has over, I want to double check, 7 million users that use just this app. Maybe not just it alone, but 7 million users that are signed up. It's a really, the only thing I don't like about it is the interface for it. You can't look through someone's pictures online, but you can only look at a single one at a time. But that's still good, and yeah, it's still good. It's also free, which is good. So when you're getting used to these apps and you kind of want to try things out a little bit, I I always suggest trying the light versions or the free versions, just so you can get used to it, and when you get more advanced, you can push back to the iris ones and, go through and actually play with the settings a little bit more. So, as you can see here, the filter options are down here. It also has a live view function, so if you want to shoot using the filters immediately, you can do that. The popular section, basically for users that get a lot of, I don't want to say action, a lot of traffic on their image, it'll get pushed to the popular site, and then you can see it on the front page when you open the app. So that's a way that all of these 7 million users can come together and try to be on the popular site. You get a lot of likes, you can like someone and comment on it and tell them how much you like your picture, and then eventually you can follow the person as well. So if you really like the art that someone's putting out, you can go ahead and follow them and it'll pop up in your feed. Mobile apps for iPhone and Android. This one, yes. Okay, this is the Photoshop Express for the phone. It's free also, and it also has a lot of the advanced features, much like the iris one that I showed you earlier, and it's free. So I would always suggest trying it first. You can edit all your pictures on this. You can see that this has a lot of the same features you would want to do on a computer: cropping, straightening, rotating, flipping. These are all things you can do to center the image before you go ahead and edit it later. You also have the options to do some filters, not exactly all the same ones that Instagram will put out. These are more color cast features. So you can see green, purple, yellow, and red down here. So those are all options for you. You can also control the brightness, put things in the images. And then another thing you can do is you can actually push this out to share your art with the world. So I'll talk about that later too, but you can put it on Twitter, you can put it on Facebook. Some of them you have it where you can push it out to your Tumblr. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about that later as well. So Android. That last one is actually available for iPhone and Android. So depending on which one you have, I'm not sure what everyone has. Yes.
Do those apps for the iPhone have tilt shift in them?
The Instagram one does. Let me double check this original one. I believe Camera Plus does have tilt shift, if I remember correctly. I don't think Iris Photo Suite does, because I think that's more of an editing program than a capturing program, if I remember correctly. And when I was talking about Instagram earlier, actually there was a news blip yesterday that said Instagram, it was said by the president of Instagram that it's coming to Android as well, very soon apparently. I don't know, they've actually been saying that for a while, but now it's an official press release, so hopefully it will. Okay, so Android. I had the opportunity to play with a couple of these as well. These were a couple that I really liked that had a lot of different options in them. This one is $2.99. Go ahead, pushing the price limit, but it has a lot of different functions that you can use, including voice activated, which I thought was really cool. You can actually say the phrase that you want it to do, so if you need it, I think the phrases are shoot, capture, and smile will all take pictures. So I thought that was really interesting because obviously the technology on our phones are getting so advanced that we don't even have to hit them.
It's called Color FX?
This one is called, yes, Color FX. Mm-hmm.
By
And then
splash
the,
color? By splash color?
yes, and then if the icon for it should match up as well. I tried to pull those so that you'd be able to find them a little bit more easily if you wanted to. So this one has a live mode feature. It also has a lot of distort options, which some of them don't, which I think is a lot of fun as well. Those are some features that you don't really get with normal ones. The timer, like we said earlier, burst mode will take multiple pictures at once. Time lapse is a really interesting one because it'll automatically punch through 10 images and give those all to you in one swift motion. And then if you want to later, you can turn those into fast motion GIFs or things later on when you become more advanced in it. Stable shot is also a feature here, and then you have all of the filters